15-second hook. People always whisper about the big moments in life, love, betrayal, miracles. But no one ever talks about what happens when all three collide inside an ancient shrine. This is the true story of a girl everyone underestimated, until the day she cried, and the shrine cried back. She never liked mirrors. Not because they lied, they didn't. They showed every curve, every soft line, every flaw people loved to point out. What she hated was how they reminded her of every comment, every laugh, every whispered judgment she pretended not to hear. Her name was Lyra, and if you asked the people in her village to describe her, they'd always begin with the same word. The fat girl. Never the kind girl. Never the hardworking girl. Never the loyal friend. Just the fat one. She carried that label the way others carried backpacks, heavy, uncomfortable, but familiar. And despite it all, she had a soft heart, too soft according to her father. Soft hearts break, he warned her more than once. And some people enjoy breaking them. She didn't understand what he meant. Not then. Not until the day everything shattered. It happened on a rainy afternoon, one of those sluggish days when the sky hangs low and heavy, threatening to burst at any moment. Lyra had rushed across the fields, clutching her shawl around her shoulders, mud sucking at her shoes with every step. She was running toward the one person she believed would never hurt her. Evan. If the village defined Lyra by her size, they defined Evan by his smile. He was warm and bright, the kind of person everyone was naturally drawn to. Lyra had grown up beside him. Same street, same school, same childhood secrets whispered under blankets during thunderstorms. She thought she knew him better than anyone. She thought he knew her too. And maybe that was why what happened felt like a blade pressed against her chest. She had overheard it by accident, voices drifting from the barn behind his family's house. She wasn't trying to eavesdrop, she had simply been looking for him. But then she heard her own name. Heard his voice. Lyra? No, I'm not actually her friend, Evan was saying. Come on. She's, you know. It's not like someone like me would choose her. A chorus of snickers followed. She follows you around, someone else said. We thought you felt sorry for her. Well, yeah, Evan said, laughing softly. Someone has to, right? Look at her. The barn swayed in her vision. Her legs felt like they were sinking into the dirt. She didn't stay to hear more. She couldn't. She ran. Ran so hard her lungs burned. Ran until her heartbeat drowned out every voice except the one screaming inside her head. She didn't remember reaching the edge of the forest. She didn't remember climbing the moss-covered steps. The only thing she remembered clearly was the sound of wooden doors groaning as she pushed her way inside the old shrine. The place was ancient, older than the village, older than the myths carved on the walls. Locals avoided it, whispering that spirits slept inside, watching, waiting. Some said it was cursed. Some said it blessed only those whose hearts were pure. Lyra never cared about legends. She just wanted somewhere to hide. The shrine was cold, dimly lit by thin shafts of sunlight slipping through cracks in the wooden roof. Dust floated through the air like drifting memories, untouched for decades. Statues lined the walls, serene faces, stone hands pressed together as if praying for something long forgotten. And in the center of the room, a circular stone altar sat like a quiet heartbeat of the place. Lyra collapsed beside it. She didn't just cry, she broke. The sobs tore out of her, loud and raw and messy. Every inch of her hurt. Her chest felt like a hollowed-out cavern, her throat tight as if the betrayal itself were lodged there. How could you? She whispered to the empty room. Why would you? She had no answers. Only pain. She pressed her palms against the cold floor, her tears dripping onto the stone. They pooled in the cracks, tiny trembling droplets swallowed by ancient lines. And that was when the shrine stirred. At first, she thought the tremor beneath her hands was her imagination, just another aftershock of grief. But then the ground pulsed. The air thickened, humming faintly. The statues along the walls seemed to shift, shadows rippling across their faces like awakening expressions. A soft wind brushed her cheeks, though the doors were closed. Then another pulse, stronger this time, like the heartbeat of some enormous creature resting deep underground. Her tears traced the grooves etched into the altar, glowing faintly as if the stone were drinking them in. She blinked, stunned, wiping her face with her sleeve, but the glow only deepened, spreading like liquid silver through the cracks in the floor. "No, this can't be real," she whispered. The shrine answered. A deep, resonant sound filled the space, not music, not a voice, but something older, something that felt like a memory she didn't know she had. The glow expanded, swirling around her legs, her hands, rising like breath made visible. She scrambled backward, her heartbeat pounding in her throat. "Who's there?" she cried. The air shimmered. And then it spoke, not in words, but in emotion. Sorrow, compassion, recognition, and something else too. Something sharp and fierce, like a spark of power long restrained. It felt as though someone, or something, had seen her pain and understood it completely. As though her heartbreak had unlocked a door sealed for centuries. Lyra's breath shook as she stared at the glowing floor. "I didn't mean to. I didn't know this place could." She couldn't finish. The light swirled upward, forming a spiraling column around the altar. The air vibrated with meaning, with invitation, with warning. She felt it pressing against her chest, whispering inside her mind. "Your pain woke us. Your heart summoned us. What will you do now?" Lyra stumbled to her feet, trembling. She felt small in that moment, smaller than she ever had. But she also felt something else, the tiniest ember of strength she didn't know she carried. She wiped her eyes. "I don't want revenge," she whispered. "I don't think I do. I just want to understand. I want to know why it hurts so much." The shrine responded with a gentle pulse, like a parent smoothing a child's hair. But then the light shifted, growing deeper, heavier, almost questioning her. Was she telling the truth? Lyra swallowed hard. "I don't know what I want," she admitted. "Everything's so confusing. I feel stupid. I feel broken. I feel useless." The glow dimmed. Then, softly, warmly, it brightened again. As if telling her, "You are none of those things." Tears welled in her eyes once more, but this time they didn't feel like weakness. She stepped closer to the altar, her fingers trembling as she reached out to touch the stone. The moment her skin met the surface, a surge of warmth shot through her body, racing from her fingertips to her spine. She gasped. The world around her flickered. For a moment, she saw something, visions, memories, maybe futures. A girl who looked like her but stronger. A village in flames. A man kneeling. A blade glinting. A forest whispering secrets. A shrine glowing like a heartbeat in the night. Then everything snapped back into place. Lyra stumbled backward, breathless. Sweat dripped down her temple. "What are you showing me?" she whispered. "Why me? I'm not special." The shrine pulsed again, gentle but firm. As if saying, "You always were. You just didn't believe it." Lyra sank onto her knees again, overwhelmed. Her tears dripped onto the floor once more, but this time the stone didn't react. They didn't need to. The shrine was already awake. And it was waiting. She didn't know for what. But she knew the moment she crossed the threshold, her life had split into two paths. The girl she had been, and the woman she might become. Her heartbeat slowed. Her breathing steadied. Then she asked the question she had been too afraid to ask herself. "What am I supposed to do now?" The glow swirled, rising in a slow, deliberate motion, drifting toward the ancient carvings on the far wall, symbols she had never noticed before. As the light touched them, the stone rippled like water. A doorway appeared. Dark. Silent. Waiting. Lyra stared, fear and curiosity tangling in her chest. She knew one thing. Whatever lay beyond that doorway was meant for her. The shrine had chosen. And now, she had to choose Part 2, the doorway that shouldn't exist. 2,000 words, emotional, descriptive, natural narration. No headings inside story. The doorway wasn't supposed to exist. Lyra stared at it, unable to breathe for a moment. 1 second the stone wall had been solid, ancient, untouched by time. The next, the glowing patterns spread across its surface like veins of molten gold, and with a slow, exhaling sigh, the rock softened, warped, opened. Behind it lay darkness so complete it felt like a living thing. Not empty, but waiting. Her instincts whispered, "Don't go in." But the strange thrum rising from the floor, the heartbeat of the shrine, pushed gently at her back, urging rather than forcing. She wiped her tear-streaked cheeks, still trembling. "You want me to go in there?" A soft pulse answered. Not quite yes, not quite no. More like, "You must choose." Her fear wasn't the kind that made her scream or run. It was thicker, quieter, the kind that lived in her bones. For her whole life, people had made decisions for her. What she should wear. What she should eat less of. How she should behave if she wanted to fit in. What she should pretend not to hear when kids whispered about her. Now, for the first time, something waited for her to choose. She took a shaky breath. The shadows inside the doorway rippled as if reacting to her voice. Not threatening, just aware. Her heart thudded. "I don't know what's in there." Another pulse. Softer. Almost comforting. "All right," she whispered. "But, please don't let me walk alone." She stepped forward. The second her foot crossed the threshold, the air changed. The cold, dusty atmosphere of the outer shrine faded, replaced by warmth, strange warmth, like the air had been sitting still for centuries and now finally moved. She looked back once. The doorway remained open, the faint light from the shrine casting a long silhouette across the stone floor. Beyond that frame, the world she knew, the world where Evan laughed behind her back, felt far away. Too far, almost. She swallowed and stepped deeper into the dark. For a moment, she couldn't see anything. Only faint hints of movement in the air, whispers of energy brushing against her skin like curious fingertips. She held her hand out in front of her, blind and shivering. Then, slowly, lights emerged. Not flames. Not torches. But floating glimmers, like fireflies made of pale starlight. They illuminated the passage little by little, drifting upward in spirals before dissolving. With every inch she walked, the air grew denser, not suffocating, just full of something ancient and sacred. Her heartbeat echoed strangely, as if the tunnel itself were listening to it. Her mind wandered despite her fear. Who built this place? Why me? Why now? Her foot brushed against uneven stone, and she paused. Ahead, the passage widened into a chamber. A circular room carved entirely from smooth black stone. At the center, a pedestal rose, a simple structure, weathered, but unmistakably important. As she stepped into the chamber, the floating lights gathered above her, swirling into a slow, silent vortex. Something was carved into the pedestal. She approached cautiously, fingertips trembling as she brushed the dust away. The symbols underneath glowed faintly, coming alive at her touch. They weren't like the carvings in the outer shrine. These were more fluid, more personal. As the last streak of dust fell, the symbols reshaped, shifting into a language she could suddenly understand without knowing how. The heart that suffers reveals the truth. Pain awakens the hidden. Only the weeping one may see. Lyra's throat tightened. It sounded like the shrine had been waiting for someone exactly like her. Someone who had cried. Who had been hurt. Who had been underestimated so deeply that her pain had nowhere else to go but inward. She touched the center of the pedestal. A warmth flowed into her palm, gentle but strong. Then a voice, not spoken aloud but vibrating inside her chest, filled the chamber. "Lyra." She gasped, stumbling back. Who said that?" The floating lights brightened, swirling faster. Another vibration. Child of sorrow and strength. Her back hit the wall. She pressed her hands against the cold stone, looking around wildly. She wasn't alone. She could feel presence everywhere. like the air itself was alive with consciousness.
"Who are you?" she managed to whisper.
The lights settled, coalescing into a shape, vague at first, then slowly forming the outline of a tall, graceful figure.
"Not human. Not exactly."
Its shape flickered like smoke and starlight mixed together. Eyes, if they were eyes, glimmered softly. "I am the echo of this sanctuary," the voice resonated. "The memory left behind by those who once protected this place. I am what remains." Lyra's knees nearly buckled. "Why did you call my name?" "Because you are the first in generations to speak with truth inside your heart. Your tears have awakened what was dormant."
"But I didn't mean to do anything," she stammered.
The figure's light dimmed slightly, like a sigh.
"Pain does not ask permission.
It simply reveals what must be seen."
Lyra swallowed hard.
"Then what do you want from me?"
"Not what I want," the voice murmured. "What you seek."
"I don't seek anything." The chamber fell silent for several long heartbeats. Then the figure leaned closer, if leaning was even possible for something without a solid form.
"You seek answers. You seek purpose.
You seek the truth behind your own worth."
Her chest tightened. "How do you know that?" "We have watched many pass through this world. Those judged most harshly often carry the deepest power within them." She clenched her fists at her sides. "Power? Me? No. I'm just me."
"You see yourself through the cruelty of others," the voice said gently. "You carry their words as if they were mirrors. But they are not." Her breath hitched.
She didn't want to cry again, but the urge pressed behind her eyes.
The figure moved back slightly, its form rippling. "You were betrayed. This wound is fresh. But betrayal is not the end of your story, it is the beginning of your awakening."
Lyra lowered her head. I don't
know if I can do this." Strength is not the absence of doubt. Strength is choosing to step forward despite it. A soft wind stirred inside the chamber, brushing her hair back. She looked up, slowly gathering the courage inside her trembling chest. "What do you want me to do?" The figure extended an arm, light forming an elegant, shimmering path across the floor, leading toward a second doorway that hadn't been there moments ago. "Beyond this path lies the truth about the shrine and the truth about your connection to it."
Lyra stared at the path.
"I'm afraid," she whispered. "So are all who stand at the threshold of truth."
"I might mess up."
"Then you will learn." "I might not be strong enough." "Strength grows when needed."
Her voice cracked.
"What if I'm not the person you think I am?"
The figure didn't hesitate.
"You are more." The chamber hummed softly. Lyra wiped her eyes with the edge of her sleeve. The trembling didn't stop, but her breathing steadied, little by little. She stepped forward, following the glowing path. The second doorway led into a narrow corridor carved with intricate patterns, depicting figures kneeling, crying, praying, breaking, and rising. Some carved figures looked like ordinary villagers.
Some looked like warriors. Some like children.
Every single one bore tears.
Some tears fell into bowls. Some onto the earth. Some onto altars. Some onto other people's hands.
She touched one carving, the image of a girl her age, hands pressed against her face as tears streamed down her stone cheeks. As Lyra touched the carving, warmth bloomed beneath her fingers. A vision flashed, quick, like a candle flame flickering. A girl crying over a lost friend.
A shrine responding. A power emerging. And then it vanished.
Lyra pulled her hand back, breath shaky. "Is this about others like me?" Every heart that has been broken has a story, and some have gifts hidden in their sorrow.
She swallowed.
Why is the shrine connected to tears? Because tears are truth.
Spoken lies can fool the world, but tears never lie about the soul.
Her chest tightened again, but this time for a different reason. She continued walking until the corridor opened into a larger space, a vast underground hall lit by hundreds of floating lights. In the center stood the largest statue she had ever seen. A woman carved from smooth stone, robes flowing as if sculpted by wind. Her hands were extended forward, palms up. Tears ran down her cheeks, not carved, but liquid, glowing like molten silver.
The statue felt alive.
Lyra approached slowly, every step echoing through the chamber.
"Who is she?" she whispered. The echoing voice softened.
"She is the first mourner, the one whose grief built the shrine, whose tears carried power strong enough to protect generations. She held the pain of many, and in doing so awakened the force that now awakens in you." Lyra stopped inches away from the statue. The glowing tears cast soft reflections on her face.
"Why me?" she whispered.
"Because you hurt without cruelty. Because you break without breaking others. Because your pain did not turn into hatred."
Lyra's breath hitched.
Tears welled in her eyes again, not from sadness alone, but from something deeper. A strange, unfamiliar warmth. Worthiness. The shrine's voice grew quieter, more intimate. "You stand at a crossroads, Lyra. The power within this place answers to the heart that calls it. You may use it to heal, to reveal truth, to seek justice, or to uncover the forgotten purpose behind your lineage."
She blinked.
Lineage. A pulse of energy filled the hall.
The statue's silver tears flared brighter.
"Your ancestors were once guardians of this sanctuary."
Her mind went blank.
"My ancestors?
No.
No, we're just regular people. We're farmers. Even ordinary lives often hide extraordinary pasts."
Her hands shook.
"You were meant to come here," the voice murmured. "Not because of your pain alone, but because of who you are." Lyra stared up at the statue, her reflection shimmering in the liquid silver tears.
She didn't feel like a guardian. She felt like a girl who had been hurt too many times. A girl who ran to a shrine because she had nowhere else to go. A girl who cried alone in the dark. But maybe this place saw something else. Maybe she was more than what people whispered.
The voice grew faint, as if withdrawing. "When you are ready, touch her hands. Your path will reveal itself." The floating lights dimmed slightly, and the chamber waited. Lyra inhaled slowly, her breath trembling but steadying with each second. She stepped forward. She placed her palms gently into the stone woman's hands. The shrine erupted with light. Part 3, the power that answered her tears. 2,000 words, emotional, descriptive, flowing narration. No headings. The moment Lyra's hands touched the cold stone palms of the first mourner, the entire chamber inhaled. Light burst outward, not harsh, but overwhelming, like standing inside the heart of a sunrise. It swallowed her vision, wrapped itself around her skin, filled every breath she drew. For one suspended heartbeat, she couldn't feel her body at all.
Then everything rushed back at once.
A shockwave exploded through her chest, powerful but strangely gentle, like being pushed by water instead of force. Her knees buckled, yet the statue's stone palms seemed to move, tilting just slightly, to keep her from falling.
She gasped. 1,000 whispers filled the air.
Not voices speaking words, but emotions, fragments of sorrow, love, fear, resilience, all swirling around her like echoes of life. She staggered backward, clutching her chest. What's happening? A pulse vibrated through the floor, steady and slow. The kind of pulse she had felt earlier in the shrine, but now deeper, louder, unmistakably alive. "You are awakening." The voice, if it could be called a voice, came from everywhere and nowhere. It wasn't the same echo that had guided her earlier. This one felt older, stronger, closer. Lyra looked up. The statue's eyes, once dull stone, glowed with soft silver light. Tears, liquid and shining, streamed down the stone cheeks and flowed into the outstretched palms. She had to remind herself to breathe. "Are you alive?" The lights flickered, almost like the statue considered the question.
"Not alive as you are, but not gone."
"I remain, memory, spirit, purpose."
Lyra swallowed hard. Her hands trembled at her sides.
Why do I feel so much?
Because she did.
Emotion crashed into her in waves. Grief that wasn't hers, hope that felt unfamiliar, fear that pricked her skin, love that warmed her chest.
It made her dizzy.
You feel the memory of every mourner who carried power before you, the voice answered. The shrine holds their tears, their burdens, their strength. It is sharing them with you now.
Why me? She whispered again, barely audible. This time, the answer came without hesitation. Because your heart called us.
Because your pain was pure. Because betrayal shook your foundation, and you did not collapse, you sought truth instead of vengeance.
Lyra blinked rapidly, tears blurring her vision.
I didn't know where else to go.
And yet you came. The silver tears in the statue's hands shimmered.
A drop broke free, floating upward, glowing brighter as it neared Lyra's face.
She held still, breath frozen. The droplet paused in front of her forehead, then pressed gently against her skin. Warmth flooded her senses.
Suddenly, visions ignited, clearer than before, sharper, too vivid to be imagination.
She saw a woman standing in the same shrine, hundreds of years ago, sobbing into her hands as flames engulfed a village outside. She saw tears fall from the woman's eyes, landing on stone and turning into silver light. Then another vision. A young boy kneeling beside the pedestal, crying because his parents had vanished. The shrine answered with a soft wind that wrapped around him like an embrace. Another. A warrior wounded in battle, tears dripping onto the altar. Instead of healing his wounds, the shrine revealed the truth of who betrayed his people. Another. A girl with hollow eyes crying silently, her pain so deep the shrine walls glowed brighter than moonlight. Lyra gasped as the visions swirled and dissolved. Her chest hurt, not from pain, but from the weight of so many lives etched into the shrine's memory. She clutched her shirt, steadying her breath. I felt all of that. You are not alone in your suffering. Others before you carried sorrow too. But sorrow, when embraced, becomes strength. Lyra shook her head. I'm not strong.
I've never been strong. Strength is not shown in those who are never hurt. It lives in those who are shattered and still choose to stand. Something inside her cracked, not in a painful way, but like a stone splitting to reveal a glowing crystal inside. She exhaled shakily.
Then what do I do now?
The statue's palms lifted, not physically, but the light surrounding them rose, forming a swirling sphere of glowing silver.
Lyra stared, mesmerized. This is the power you awakened, the voice said. A gift born from your tears. You have 3 paths.
Only one may be chosen.
She held her breath. The path of healing.
The sphere rippled, showing a blurry image, her village.
People walking. Children laughing. She felt a wave of warmth. With this, you may soothe the wounds of others. Ease pain. Heal hearts that carry burdens. But healing others does not erase your own scars.
This path demands sacrifice and patience.
The sphere dimmed, shifting. The path of justice.
This time the image sharpened. Evan, his familiar smile fading into guilt and regret. The echo of his earlier laughter burned in her ears.
You may reveal truth. Expose lies. Bring clarity to hidden betrayal.
But justice is not gentle. It may turn allies into enemies and uncover truths you are not ready to face.
The sphere shifted once more.
The path of revelation. The image changed to something she didn't understand, her own reflection, surrounded by symbols and ancient markings.
The shrine. A forest. A light pulsing like a heartbeat. This path uncovers purpose. It reveals the origin of your connection to this shrine and the secrets of your lineage.
But knowledge comes with burden, and truths once seen cannot be forgotten.
Lyra stared at the shifting sphere. Heal. Seek justice. Seek truth. She felt pulled in every direction at once. I don't know which to choose, she confessed. Do not rush. All choices carry weight.
But remember, Your heart already leans toward one.
She closed her eyes.
Evan's words echoed in her memory. I'm not actually her friend. Someone has to feel sorry for her. A sharp sting tightened her throat. Then she felt a warm presence brushing gently against her thoughts, like a whisper urging her to look deeper.
Not at Evan. Not at the betrayal. But at herself. She opened her eyes slowly.
I want, her voice wavered. She wasn't even sure she believed the words as they formed. I want to understand who I am. Why I'm connected to this place. Why I've carried this feeling my whole life that I'm meant for something but never good enough to reach it.
Her heart pounded.
The sphere glowed brighter. Then you'd choose the path of revelation.
Lyra inhaled sharply. Yes.
I think, yes. The chamber responded instantly. Lights flooded the room, swirling upward like spiraling constellations. The statue's palms tilted, letting the silver sphere drift toward Lyra's chest.
She panicked.
Wait, what do I do?
Open your heart.
Accept what is yours. The sphere sank into her chest like a breath of warm air. Lyra's eyes widened as the power surged through her veins.
Not painful. Not overwhelming.
Just awakening. It was as if part of her that had been asleep all her life finally opened its eyes. A new pulse vibrated from her heart, clear, strong, resonant. The shrine answered with a shimmer that traveled across the walls. Patterns she hadn't noticed before lit up, spirals, waves, symbols shaped like tears falling into water. They formed lines that led to a small alcove in the far wall. A stone door slid open.
Lyra stared.
What's that? What your ancestors left for you.
Her breath caught. She approached slowly.
Inside the alcove was a box, old, simple, carved with the same tear-shaped symbols. Dust coated its edges, but the moment she touched it, the dust dissolved into shimmering particles.
Her fingers lifted the lid.
Inside lay a thin silver chain with a pendant shaped like a droplet, smooth, glowing faintly. Beside it was a strip of cloth, ancient but preserved, embroidered with the symbol of the first mourner. And beneath it all, a letter. Her hands trembled as she lifted the fragile paper. The writing was old, faded but still legible. To the daughter born generations beyond my time, it began. Her breath froze.
This is for me, she whispered. She read.
I do not know your name, but I know your sorrow. Our family carries the burden of emotion woven deeply into the soul. When one of us cries in truth, the shrine listens. When one of us suffers injustice, the shrine awakens. When one of us seeks truth, the shrine reveals.
Her heart hammered. You are not weak because you feel deeply. You are a guardian by birth.
And one day, when your tears touch the stone, the shrine will open to you as it opened to me. Lyra covered her mouth, choking on a sob. The letter continued. When that time comes, do not fear yourself. The world may call you too much, too emotional, too soft.
Let them.
They do not understand the strength that lives in hearts like ours.
Her knees wobbled.
At the moment of your awakening, you will face a choice. Follow the path that calls your soul, not the one that screams loudest.
Trust your heart.
It has never been your weakness.
Tears streamed down Lyra's cheeks. Her ancestor had known her. Across centuries. Across lifetimes.
She had known exactly what Lyra would need to hear. She whispered, voice breaking, "Thank you." The letter ended with words that felt carved into Lyra's bones. Remember this, you were never too much. They were simply not enough to see your light. Lyra clutched the letter to her chest, sobbing, not from pain, but from something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in so long.
Belonging.
When she finally caught her breath, the shrine's calm voice spoke again.
You understand now.
The truth is the beginning, not the end.
Lyra nodded slowly.
I'm ready. The chamber dimmed, lights gathering into a slender path leading back toward the main hall. Your journey continues beyond the shrine, but your heart carries its light now. She took a deep breath, wiped her tears, and stepped forward. As she walked, her reflection shimmered on the polished stone floor.
She didn't look different, but she felt different.
And the world outside had no idea what was coming. Part 4. The world outside the shrine seemed to pause the moment Myra stepped beyond the threshold. The storm from the night before had ended, leaving the air sharp and clean, as if the earth had been holding its breath for centuries and finally exhaled. She sniffed the morning air, unsure whether the new stillness was a blessing or a warning.
Even the forest felt different.
It no longer loomed over her the way it had yesterday, no longer whispering doubts or echoing her self-loathing back at her. Instead, the trees stood like silent witnesses, acknowledging her passage, bending slightly as if they recognized the change in her.
And she did feel changed.
The weight in her chest was still there, grief, betrayal, fear. But beneath it, something new pulsed like a heartbeat that wasn't entirely her own. She placed a hand over her sternum and whispered, "What exactly did you give me?" The shrine offered no reply, but the forest did. A soft wind pushed against her back, encouraging her deeper into the woods.
She hesitated.
Go where? Do what? Every direction felt uncertain, except one. She needed answers.
Real answers.
Not the kind she could get from books or rumors whispered by villagers who never bothered to understand her. She needed the truth, about her, about the shrine, and about why her pain had awakened something powerful instead of simply crushing her the way it usually did. Myra walked, wrapping her arms around herself as the forest light shifted through green and gold.
Birds rustled above her, but none sang. Not yet.
Her thoughts drifted back to Kalen, his words, his smirk, his betrayal. She still felt it like a fresh bruise, hot and ugly. "Why did you do that to me?" she muttered into the quiet. "Was it fun? Was it worth breaking someone who did nothing but trust you?"
Silence. Of course there was no answer. Not from him. And maybe not from the world. But then,
a soft hum vibrated through the ground. Myra paused. The air shimmered with faint silver threads, like strands of moonlight woven between the trees. They curled around her ankles, gentle as a curious kitten, then melted into the soil again. Myra spun in place.
"Is that you again?" she asked the unseen presence. "Are you trying to guide me? Or show me something?"
Still nothing visible, only a subtle, reassuring warmth.
She took a cautious step forward. The warmth followed. Another step. Another pulse. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll follow."
The forest path wound downward, leading her toward the riverbed that cut through the valley. The last time she had come this way, she'd gotten lost and ended up wandering for hours, crying from frustration before eventually stumbling home at dusk. This time she didn't feel lost. This time the path seemed to shape itself beneath her feet. She reached the riverbank quickly, much faster than she remembered ever doing before. The water glistened, moving slower than usual, like it was holding itself in place just for her. Myra knelt and touched the surface. The instant her fingertips dipped in, the water shifted in color, faint blue light spreading outward from her touch, swirling and forming shapes she couldn't quite understand.
Spirals. Lines. Symbols older than anything she'd seen in books. Her breath caught.
"What are you trying to tell me?"
The symbols dissolved. Then the water reflected her. But not just her.
Her face, yes, tear-stained eyes, round cheeks, hair clinging to her forehead in damp strands.
But behind her reflection stood the shrine doors.
And behind those, the outline of a woman, not a shadow, not a dream, tall, regal, glowing with a soft gold aura as though carved from sunlight.
Myra gasped and stumbled backwards. Her pulse thrashed against her ribs.
"No, no, that can't. What are you? Who are you?"
The image vanished with a ripple.
Myra scrambled to her feet, heart pounding.
Was that real? Am I losing my mind? Did you put something in me? Show yourself.
The river returned to its ordinary clear shimmer. Myra paced the bank, her hands trembling.
She wasn't imagining things. She couldn't be.
Not after everything that had already happened. What if that woman, whoever she was, held the answers? What if she was the shrine's guardian, or the original owner of the power now humming inside Myra. She pressed a hand against her belly, grounding herself.
"No," she whispered. "I'm not running from this."
Not.
She followed the river upstream.
The forest thickened, the canopy darkening into deep emerald shadows. Every step brought a whisper of movement, branches tilting, leaves shivering, the faint hum that followed her everywhere.
It almost felt protective.
A presence hovering around her like a cloak. When she reached the old stone bridge, she stopped. The structure was ancient, older than the shrine, maybe older than the village itself.
Nobody used it anymore.
The wood planks had rotted away long ago, leaving only stone pillars carved with runes that had faded with time. And on one of those pillars was the symbol she had seen in the shrine, the blooming tear.
Myra approached slowly. The hum intensified. The air thickened. Her fingertips tingled.
She reached out, even though she wasn't sure she should, and touched the carved symbol. Light exploded beneath her palm, quick as a gasp. Myra stumbled back, shielding her eyes as the runes awoke, glowing, shifting, rearranging like living ink.
The forest hushed.
Even the river stopped moving. Then the runes projected an image into the air.
A woman.
The same woman from the river reflection. Her image hovered before Myra, tall, imposing, filled with radiant energy.
But she wasn't threatening.
Her expression was solemn, compassionate. Her mouth moved.
No sound came out. Myra shook her head.
I don't understand. The Guardian's expression softened. She lifted a hand and pointed at Myra's heart. Then at Myra's reflection in the river. Then at the shrine's direction. Then finally at the forest around them. It felt like a message, but one Myra didn't yet know how to translate. "You're connected to me," Myra guessed, voice trembling. "Or I'm connected to you." The figure nodded, once, calmly. Then she pointed one last time at Myra's chest.
Harder. Firmer. As if commanding.
"I don't know how to use this power," Myra whispered. "I don't even know what it is." The Guardian faded. First the hands, then the shoulders, then the golden glow, until nothing remained but the dim afterhaze in the air. Myra fell to her knees. "This is too much," she whispered.
"I'm not ready for this. I'm not strong like you."
"I'm not."
Her voice cracked.
"I'm not anything special." A breeze swept through, as if answering her.
Not scolding her. Not disagreeing. Just comforting.
She wiped her face. "If I'm supposed to do something, if I'm supposed to make a choice, I need to understand the truth. All of it.
Why me?
Why now?"
She rose slowly.
The hum returned, stronger this time.
Almost eager. "Fine," she said.
"Take me to wherever the truth is hiding." The forest obeyed. The path she followed wasn't one she'd ever seen before. New trails opened between the trees, guiding her deeper, farther, until sunlight could barely reach her. The shadows thickened. The air cooled. And then, she saw it. A second shrine. Much smaller than the first. Covered in moss, half buried by roots. A forgotten twin, lost to time. Myra's breath quickened. How long has this been here? The hum inside her vibrated sharply, like a warning. Or a plea. She stepped closer. The second shrine was cracked down the middle. Burn marks scarred the stone. Something violent had happened here, something ancient and terrible. She touched the stone. A vision slammed into her. Flames. Screams. Warriors fighting. The Guardian woman standing alone against a line of armored men. The symbol of the blooming tear burning bright on the ground. A betrayal. A friend turning against her. A blade plunging. A collapse. A seal closing. A power sinking into the earth, locking itself away to wait. Wait for someone whose pain was pure enough to resonate. Myra jolted back with a gasp, stumbling until she hit the forest floor. Sweat dripped down her spine. Her lungs heaved. She understood. Not everything, but enough to know that the power wasn't random. The shrine hadn't awakened because she was weak, or broken, or insignificant.
It awakened because she understood pain the way the guardian once had. Pain that didn't twist into cruelty. Pain that didn't seek to destroy. Pain capable of awakening something sacred. Myra stood again, shaking but determined. So this power is connected to betrayal, she whispered.
And to protecting others.
The hum agreed. Her thoughts drifted, uninvited, to Kaylin. To the village. To all the people who mocked her, dismissed her, saw her as less than. To the stories whispered about the shrine that no one truly believed. She took a deep breath.
Then I need to figure out what to do next, she said.
Heal?
Seek justice?
Or. She swallowed.
Or finish what she started.
But the forest wasn't done with her yet.
A branch cracked behind her.
Myra spun.
And froze.
Someone stood at the edge of the clearing. Someone she never expected to see here. Kaylin. Her stomach dropped. Her chest tightened.
He looked disheveled, exhausted, fearfully scanning the trees before locking eyes with her.
Myra, he whispered.
Thank God. I've been looking for you.
Her blood ran cold.
Every muscle in her body tensed. The shrine's power pulsed beneath her skin, hot, protective, waiting.
She swallowed hard. Kaylin, she said quietly.
Why are you here?
The forest held its breath.
And the truth stood on the edge of breaking, Part 5. For a long moment, Myra could only stare at Kaylin standing at the edge of the clearing. It felt unreal, like her mind was playing tricks on her, pulling him into this sacred place just so she could finally confront the ghost of his betrayal.
But he wasn't a ghost.
He was breathing hard, sweat streaking down his temple, dirt smudged across his shirt. His eyes were frantic, and locked desperately on her. Myra, he said again, taking a slow step forward. Please. Listen.
She raised a hand sharply.
The power inside her surged in response, swirling under her skin like a living thing awakened by danger. Kaylin froze instantly, as if some instinct warned him not to cross an invisible line.
How?
Myra swallowed, grounding herself.
How did you even find me?
Kaylin hesitated, glancing around nervously before answering. The villagers, they came looking for you last night.
They said you ran off. I followed the path up to the shrine, but something strange was happening. The doors were glowing.
I thought something happened to you.
His voice cracked slightly.
I was worried. Worried, Myra repeated, the word twisting in her mouth.
After what you did yesterday. After humiliating me in front of everyone? You suddenly care. He winced.
Myra, I didn't mean for it to go that way.
She laughed once, bitterly. Really?
Because you seem to enjoy it.
His face tightened with guilt.
I was stupid. And the others, they kept pushing me, teasing, daring me.
I didn't want to look weak.
I didn't want them to think He stopped suddenly, biting back his words.
Myra's heart throbbed painfully.
Didn't want them to think you what?
He looked at her, eyes shining with a truth she wasn't sure she wanted.
That I actually liked you, he whispered. That I cared about you more than I wanted to admit.
The clearing fell silent.
Myra felt her breath catch, felt the air thicken around her.
4 years she had silently loved him. 4 years she had convinced herself he would never see her that way.
And then he tore her apart in front of everyone, cruelly, thoughtlessly.
And now he wanted to say this? No, she said softly. You don't get to say that now. Not here.
Not after everything you did. Kaylin stepped forward, just one small step, and the shrine's power reacted explosively. A wave of pressure rippled outward from Myra, bending grass, shaking branches, sending leaves swirling upward like startled birds.
Kaylin stumbled back, eyes widening.
Myra, what was that? She backed away instinctively, horrified by her own strength.
Don't come closer. I don't know how to control this. What happened to you? He whispered. Her voice trembled.
The shrine happened.
He swallowed hard, fear flickering in his eyes.
The villagers used to tell stories about that place. Curses, spirits,
Ancient guardians. Are you saying something inside there did this to you? She shook her head slowly. Not to me.
For me. Kaylin frowned. What does that mean? Myra took a shaky breath. She wasn't sure she owed him the truth, but she needed to speak it.
If only to hear herself affirm it out loud. It means the power came because of my pain. Because of what I've been through. Because of the betrayal that shattered me.
It responded to everything I've held in for years. Every cruel comment, every look of disgust, every time I was made to feel like I didn't belong in my own skin. She blinked away tears. Your betrayal was just the last piece. The one that broke the seal.
Kaylin looked devastated. Myra.
I'm so sorry.
She stared at him. Really stared.
For the first time, she saw not the charming friend she had once loved, nor the cruel boy who had broken her, but someone flawed and terrified, someone who had never learned how to be brave in the ways that mattered.
But apology wasn't enough. It never could be.
Kaylin, she said steadily, you didn't come here just to say you're sorry. What do you want?
He opened his mouth, then closed it. His eyes darted toward the trees as if he feared they were listening.
Something's happening in the village, he whispered. Weird things.
People are panicking. Houses shaking. Lights flickering.
And the forest, this forest, has been moving. Like it's alive.
It is alive, Myra said softly. He shivered.
Whatever awakened here, it's spreading.
People are scared. And some of them, they think it's your fault.
Myra felt her stomach tighten. Of course they do.
They are organizing, he said quietly.
Against you. They think if they find you, they can stop this.
Stop me, she corrected. He nodded heavily.
Myra inhaled a shaky breath.
She had expected fear, judgment, hatred.
The village rarely needed logic to turn against those they already disliked.
But hearing it confirmed out loud still hurt more than she wanted to admit.
Kaylin stepped forward again, cautiously. Myra, let me help you.
Let me protect you.
I know I don't deserve your trust. I know I hurt you. But please. I don't want anything to happen to you. She looked away. The power inside her pulsed, gentle this time, uncertain, as if waiting for a choice she hadn't yet made. Kaylin, she said quietly, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't even know if I'm meant to heal what's happening, or make it worse.
You're not dangerous, he insisted. You're
Myra, the girl who helped me when my mother was sick. The girl who never judged anyone even when they judged you. You're not a monster.
She met his gaze with surprising calm.
Maybe it isn't about being a monster.
Maybe it's about being powerful.
And people like to call powerful women monsters.
His expression crumpled.
Before he could respond, the ground shivered beneath them, hard enough to send both of them staggering. Birds burst from the treetops. The air hummed with a deep, resonant vibration. The forgotten shrine behind Myra lit up, brilliant, blinding, urgent. Kaylin shielded his face. What's happening now? Myra felt it inside her, a pull, a calling, a resonance so strong it nearly dropped her to her knees.
It's showing me something. Or summoning me. She turned toward the glowing ruin.
Light poured from the cracked seams, illuminating the forest in brilliant gold. The same symbol, the blooming tear, burned across the broken stone. Her vision blurred, then sharpened with clarity, as if her eyes had just remembered how to see.
It's time, she whispered.
For what?
Kaylin asked, voice trembling. For me to decide, she said.
What to do with this power?
The glow intensified. The air grew hot.
A low hum vibrated through every tree, every root, every vein in Myra's body.
And then, a voice. Not from outside. From within. Child of sorrow.
Child of strength. Choose. The guardian's presence enveloped her, warm yet heavy with expectation.
Kaylin grabbed her arm instinctively. Myra.
Don't go near it. She shook him off, not harshly, but with a quiet certainty. I have to.
I'm coming with you, he insisted. No, she said, finally meeting his eyes. This isn't your path. Something in her tone told him arguing was pointless. He backed away, breathing hard. Myra stepped toward the glowing shrine. The moment her hand touched the cracked stone, time seemed to fold around her. Her vision flashed white, then settled into a different world entirely. She stood inside a memory. A battlefield covered in smoke. The guardian woman stood at the center, wounded, bleeding, surrounded by enemies. Her power crackled like lightning, but she was alone. Utterly alone. A familiar figure stepped out from behind the warriors. Her friend. The one who betrayed her. The guardian's expression was heartbreak, pure, raw, devastating. Then the vision shifted. Myra saw herself, kneeling in the first shrine, crying, broken, betrayed. The shrine responding. History repeating. The guardian's voice whispered in Myra's mind. You carry what I carried. Pain that becomes strength. Love that was betrayed. And a choice that shapes the world. Myra's breath trembled. What choice? The vision split into three paths. One bathed in soft blue light, healing, forgiveness, restoration. One wrapped in fierce red, justice, wrath, reckoning. One shimmering gold, truth, revelation, the breaking of cycles. The guardian's voice softened. Only your heart knows. Myra closed her eyes. She thought of Kaylin. The villagers. Her childhood. The ridicule, the isolation, the shame forced onto her body, her name, her existence. And she thought of the gentle parts of herself, the parts that still believed in goodness, in second chances, in something beyond pain. She opened her eyes. I choose. The forest roared. The shrine exploded with light. Kaylin screamed her name somewhere behind her. And Myra. Myra stepped into her destiny. The power surged through her like a tidal wave, filling every part of her with warmth, clarity, purpose. She felt the forest breathe. She felt the river's pulse. She felt the guardian's presence merging with her own. Then the light settled. The humming faded. Myra stood tall, steady, transformed. The symbol of the blooming tear glowed faintly across her collarbone. Kaylin approached her cautiously, awe and fear mingling in his expression. Myra? Are you okay? What happened? She turned to him slowly. I made my choice. What was it? He asked softly. Myra looked back at the forest, at the ruins, at the glowing mark over her heart. To break the cycle, she said. To heal what can be healed, to reveal what needs to be known, and to bring justice where it's deserved. Kaylin swallowed. What does that mean for the village? It means, Myra said quietly, that they will have to face the truth about me, about themselves, about everything they chose not to see. And me? His voice was barely audible. Myra studied him for a long moment. You will face the truth too, she said. But whether you grow from it is up to you. He nodded slowly, tears forming. I understand. Myra turned away, not cruelly, but with a new strength that didn't need validation or permission. The power inside her settled like a crown. The forest bowed in her presence as she walked. She was no longer the girl who cried alone in the shrine. She was the woman who awakened it. And for the first time in her life, she understood her worth, not because of her body or her scars or her pain, but because she chose to rise. As Myra stepped back onto the forest path, the guardian's voice whispered once more, gentle, proud, fading. Child of sorrow. Child of strength. Walk forward. The world is waiting for you. Myra smiled softly, her tears shimmering like light rather than weakness. I'm ready, she whispered. And she walked toward her new life. And that is the end of Myra's journey. A girl the world underestimated, bullied, mocked, dismissed, who discovered a power born not from perfection, but from pain. A power that didn't turn her into a monster, but into the one thing life never let her be. Free. Free to choose her own path. Free to rewrite her story. free to rise without waiting for permission.
If her journey hit you in the heart, if you've ever felt overlooked, betrayed, or broken, just remember this.
Sometimes the world breaks us, so we can rebuild ourselves stronger than before. Thank you for listening to this story.
If you want more stories like this, raw, emotional, and full of meaning, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Until next time, take care of yourselves. And never forget, your pain does not diminish you. It awakens you.